Hi, I'm Liz Larson with The Art of Frosting, back with some cake decorating basics. So today we're working on Valentine's, but this project would actually work for a birthday or an anniversary. It's really a pretty and sweet gift, really actually a sweet gift. So it's cake pop roses, or really they're truffle roses. So let's get started. This is a fun one. Starting with just some parchment squares that I've cut out here. And you guys have seen me use this technique before. I'm just going to tack it down where you can see here. It just makes it a little easier to use. And we're just going to basically make the shape of a heart. And then to make this design, we just come back over, just drop the line back and forth, back and forth. And then you just come back the other direction. This will make it nice and strong. I want to put that to the side, and I want this one to be a little cupped. And you guys have seen me do this before. I'm just going to use the center of a paper towel roll and make it cupped. This next one, I'm going to use a little Cornelli lace action, which is basically just a zigzag. Random. Make sure that you touch your edges here. Otherwise, it won't actually stick to the outside edge. Then you want to come back in and just use a little. And this one I want to be flat because I'm going to put it on a skewer so that it can stand up tall. And then just continue on with these. As many as you want, make extras because they do break. For this project, I'm using red Wilton candy melts. So Wilton is just a brand, and there are also many other kind of brands that you can find at your kitchen stores. And these are actually found at your grocery store a lot of times, or cake decorating shops. Essentially, it's white chocolate that's colored. So if you're in an area that you can't find these, buy white chocolate and some candy food coloring, which is an oil-based food coloring. You'll come out with the same thing. Next, I have peeled one of my hearts off, and I want to show you how to attach it to your skewer. So I've got these cake pop skewers. These you can also just find at the grocery store as well, or lollipop skewers, or you can use just a dowel will work too. So for this one, I want a short dowel. I'm just going to stripe some candy melt up the back of my dowel and just place it on. You want to let that dry, probably 10 minutes, and then it's good to put in your bouquet. It's time to move on to our dough. Our truffle dough or our cake pop dough, which is just basically some dark chocolate chips. This could be any kind of chocolate chips. It could be butterscotch, it could be chocolate chip mint, any flavor you want. You need just some basic marshmallows, any size works, and a small amount of cake. Now, since this is a quick project, you could get cupcakes from the bakery, cupcakes you have in your freezer, leftover cake, but you need about this much cake. This is about a 6-inch round cake. This goes in the mixer, blend it up into a fine meal, melt these two together, put it all together, and you end up with this fine dough. If you haven't seen me do that, look at the most recent snowman cake pop video, you'll see. This dough ends up just like Play-Doh. As you can see, it doesn't even stick to your hands. You want to take a small amount and just start to roll it into a ball. You can see. And this doesn't have to be perfect, but you want it to be about the shape of a Hershey's Kiss. So wide on the bottom and pointed on the top. This is going to be the center of your rose. And you can just set that aside. These can be bigger and smaller. You can see about the size of my thumb. It's about the size of the top digit there. These are not huge. You can make them bigger and smaller depending on the size of roses that you want. The next step, we want to have our truffle centers, our cake pop centers. We want to have some melted candy melt or chocolate here. I happen to be using some pink candy melt, and I've thinned it down just a little bit with some shortening. Now, if you'd use dark chocolate, you want to thin that down with a little bit of heavy cream. Just a little bit so that it moves. Now, I've got a couple of different lengths here of my cake pop skewer or lollipop skewer, and I just want to put it right in the end. Now, not too far up, just about to the middle. Reshape, and then just dip lightly. Now, the reason I want to seal these is I don't want my chocolate to show through underneath my flowers. Now, if I'm doing a chocolate flower, then having the chocolate show through would be just fine. I want to shake off the excess because I don't want it to drip. And then I'm just going to place this in a glass just so that this part can dry. Now, if these are going to stay on your skewer, dip with just a little bit of candy melt. Make sure you only stick it up in there about halfway, reshape, and dip. You want to keep the candy melt off the stick as much as possible, so shake off the excess as much as you can. So you want to set these aside and let them dry. It's probably going to take at least 10 minutes. When the candy melt or chocolate, whatever you've dipped them in, starts to dull slightly, you know that they're probably dry enough to go ahead and use. So next, I'm going to show you what I did for my bouquet. So this is just a porcelain mug, and you want to remove this outer rubber thing because it's not so pretty, but keep it because you can give this as the gift part. I'm going to fill it with some coconut. Coconut works great to kind of hold things in place, and just fill the bottom like third to half with the coconut. It smells nice and it's pretty. You could do the same with, this is just a box that I found at the dollar store, so you could do the same thing with something like this. And then you want to fill in the top. These are just sixlets. I found them at the grocery store, but they're pretty. They're kind of curly, you can see. And just fill in the rest of it with that. So you've got these really pretty looking filling, and it'll also hold your flowers up nicely. So that's a great way to prep your container for your bouquet. So now we're ready to start with our flowers. And I have, of course, color striped my bag, which means I've wiped straight color right up one side of my bag and filled the rest of the bag with another color, which in this case is soft pink. In this video, I am using a Pastry Pride whip top. You can use Rich's, any one of those kind of brands, because I think it's yummy with the chocolate and the candy melt. You could use buttercream. You could use a stabilized whipped cream if you want to. You could use any kind of a Swiss meringue. So any kind of icing that will actually make a rose and stay up will work for this. So we're going to start with our easier one, which is a rose that's going to go into our bouquet here. So now I will link at the very end how to make a rose on a stick. Those of you decorators who already know how to do this, you have a real advantage. So we're going to start at the very top and above the top, if you can see here. Squeeze and begin to swirl. I also want you to know that if you guys have started using Pastry Pride, you'll know this. I have over whipped this just slightly so it's very stiff. If you're using buttercream, you want your buttercream to be stiff. So we're going to do the traditional rose, so our cone and 3 straight up and down petals. Now make sure that those petals don't go above the top of the cone or you'll get a cabbage. And then 4, these are still fairly straight up and down. We don't want them to fan out quite yet. And then the next 6, like we normally do, we're using real even pressure control and spinning our skewer. And I am using a number 127 tip. So this is a big tip. Okay, so that is what our standard rose would look like. Because we're a little bigger, we still have the bottom of our rose hanging out. We're going to use one more layer. Now this layer is going to go right here, and it's going to kind of stick straight out. It's going to be a very straight petal. And I think we're going to go ahead and use 7 if you're counting. And there you go. Big, beautiful rose. So now we want to come back in, use our scissors to guide, and put this down in our bouquet. Next, we're going to do the same thing and put it on our little cupped heart here. Now, you can do them flat. I've done them both ways, flat and cupped, and I like them both, so whichever you want to use works. So these are a 6-inch doily. Found these at the dollar store. You can find them, you know, pretty much anywhere this time of year. And I'm just going to place my cup here on top of it, my candy melt cup. And then the whole thing's transportable. Now you could put that on a plate or a board if you want to. So next I'm going to use one of these. Now I want to break the seal just slightly. So just twist that stick slightly so that this can come off when we want to move it. Taking it off really is the tricky part. So I'm going to show you this rose one more time. I'm going to start up high. And 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. This one needs a 7th. And there we go. So now on this one, because I'm going to pull this off and put it down, I'm not going to put the 4th row of petals. So this is more like a traditional rose on a stick that we do. Now this is the tricky part. I want to open my scissors wide like this and get them up under while I pull down on my stick. So I'm pulling up lightly and down lightly. Drop it down and use your stick to lightly position. Now I'm going to use a number 70 leaf tip with just a touch of green. And I'm just going to add a touch of green. Leave right up the back. It's just a squiggle. Pull it up to the point you want and release lightly. I do want to recommend that if you want to put a ribbon around your flower, that you do so before you decorate it. Otherwise, it's really going to get stuck in your icing and that's not going to be any good. Putting my last placements of flowers in. Now, remember your rule of 3, so 3, 5. You want an odd number. Just use your scissors to push this down in. Now, as you get down into your coconut, it's going to be just a little harder. You want to make sure that you get it down in. And where it's secure, it's not going to move. And now I want to place my candy hearts. So I'm going to just put those in last so that you can place them wherever you want them. And I just kind of want to peeking out here and there. So these could be really any color. They could be pink, they could be white, they could be any color that you want, and they can even be chocolate. Once I have all my flowers in position, I want to add some leaves, and there's a reason that I'm doing it last. They kind of stick out and I don't want them to get into other things. So I'm just going to tuck them up under, use my zigzag, remember I'm using a number 70, and just add a few leaves wherever you feel like you could use a touch of green. So these are our final products. Here is our rose bouquet. I think that turned out really pretty. Just be real careful getting your candy melt hearts in there. It can be a little tricky. If you do touch them to the rose, it's easy. You can just, wipe it off. It's not, doesn't make too much of a mess. So I really like the way that turned out, and I think that would make a great gift for anybody. And remember, these have truffle inside. They have cake pop truffle inside, which is delicious. So this is another way for our ones that are on the little cups. You can display them beautifully on a platter. I threw a couple of extra chocolate candy hearts on there as well. And then there's this way, just single and by itself. If you do it like this, you can put this in a beautiful little box and just give them individually as well. One tiny extra thing. It does never hurt to add a little bling. I added a little edible glitter and little tiny silver dragees. They're little silver coated candy balls. You know me, more is more. Well, we did it. One more project down. I want to tell you that I did lose a couple of these trying to get them onto the candy melt cup. So it's easy. What you do then, the candy melt is probably done at that point, but you really just wipe off your rose center and repipe it. No problem. You don't lose that. Make sure that you push the skewer way to the back of the scissors and pull off so you've got a nice big flat platform, and then it's easy to move them down. No problem with that. So this was fun. I enjoyed it. I think it's a beautiful gift. I think anybody who give it to will absolutely love it, and it's kind of unique. You could make these en masse if you need to, or even just one or two at a time. No problem. So again, you guys can find me at The Art of Frosting on Facebook. We have lots of fun projects going on there where I share your work and mine. You can find me at Blogspot, www.theartoffrosting.blogspot.com, where there's a whole body of work. You can search there for anything you're looking for, any kind of an cake idea that you want. So thanks so much for watching. You guys are awesome. See you all again soon. And don't forget to share this project with me if you do it.